Welcome back to Two for One Joe Live. I'm your host, Donovan Thompson, and today we have, of course, Luke Irvin joining us, and then we also have special guest Elisa here. How you doing?
Good, good. How are you guys?
We're doing good. Yeah, I mean it's
Pretty good.
doing pretty good. You guys have a good Fourth of July?
Oh yeah, kids played
Yeah.
all day.
We
Any
Little,
ate
fireworks
an
keeping you guys up?
irresponsible number of hot dogs at the Kinspotter
yeah,
house.
There you go.
yeah.
That's kind of the only rule is eating an irresponsible amount of hot dogs. Well, let's talk about the box office getting started this week. So this weekend, of course, you had Minions: The Rise of Gru coming in at $125 million, which is a pretty great opening weekend. The last Minions movie made $1 billion, so this one's
Wow.
got a little bit to go in terms of box office to kind of catch that. Right now, it's
hmm
sitting at 218 million for the weekend worldwide, which is still pretty good. But we'll see if we can catch that. I'm not quite sure it'll hit a billion this time, but we'll see. Top Gun Maverick, of course, coming at 25.8
Yeah,
million. It has made 1.1 billion dollars now. Last week I think it made 35 million, so it only had like again a
yeah.
20 something percent drop or something, which is just, or maybe like a 30% drop, which is just crazy. And this movie just keeps making money. I suspect it will top out probably around 1.2, maybe 1.25 million, which is just
Mhm.
absolutely crazy because it's not a Marvel property, it's not a Star Wars property. It is a sequel, but
Yeah.
it's not something that, I mean, it's been a long time since we saw the original movie, 30 years ago. And I love
This
this
will
movie. It's still my favorite movie of the year. And
probably go to Paramount Plus, won't it?
yes, it will. It will. It's supposed to be like a true 45-day window, which is
Mm-hmm.
probably coming up relatively soon.
hmm
And also Thor is happening this week, which is going to kind of knock things around a little bit.
Yeah.
Elvis coming in at third place with 18.5 million. It has now made 118 million. I believe its budget was between 60 and 80. I think closer to 80 million dollars. And that's pretty solid. I mean, we're going to get there. It needs about, I don't know, a 2.5 multiplier to kind of make its money back. So roughly, it needs about 210 million dollars to be like successful. I think it's possible. This weekend only 18.5 million. It's going to start dropping off pretty. I don't know. Maybe it actually will top out around 160 million, um, which is okay. But we'll get there. Maybe we'll get there. Did you guys see Minions: The Rise of Gru this weekend or anything like that?
No, I didn't. Kids, after they saw the trailer for Super Pets, they're really wanting to see that
Mm.
one.
When
Didn't
does that
see.
come out? Do you guys remember?
It's coming out. It's a summer movie. I think it's
Relatively
coming out
soon, right?
pretty
Yeah,
soon. I did go
I think
see
so.
Elvis though.
You did go see Elvis. How was it?
I did. Thought it was okay. It
Yeah,
was fine.
it did what it needed to do. People
It was very
sang and
repetitive. It was very repetitive. I got kind
yeah,
of tired of hearing the same thing over and over and over again by the third act.
gotcha. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
kind of, yeah. I can see that. Is it now? Correct me if I'm wrong. Is the guy who wrote this also the guy who wrote Bohemian Rhapsody and any of those movies, or is there any connection at all?
Might be one of the writers I would check. I know that one of the main screenwriters was the director Boz Lerman, who was
Mhm.
not, to my knowledge, involved at all with Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. I was kind of curious because I thought I might have saw something, but I just wasn't 100% sure. Um, let's kind of get into some Star Wars news. Andor season one will take place over a year. It takes place like 5 years prior to
Mhm.
Rogue One, while season two will take place over the next 4 years leading up to Rogue One. So showrunner Tony Gilroy said the scale of the show is so huge, directors work in blocks of 3 episodes. So we did 4 blocks in season one of 3 episodes each. We looked and said, wow, it'd be really interesting if we come back and we use each block to represent a year. We'll move a year closer with each block. From a narrative point of view, it's really exciting to be able to work on something where you do a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then jump a whole year. So that's kind of interesting, especially for. I think the original plan was to have this. There's like a 3 to 5 season plan. Then they kind of come back. We lost a showrunner, and I think it was the guy who did the Americans showrunner, which he's incredible because the Americans is so good. We lost him, and now we're only doing 2 seasons of Andor. This first season is a whole year timeline wise, and season two is going to be like broken up into 3 or 4 years. So, what do you guys think about that? Is that do you feel like it's being rushed? Or do you feel like they're changing their 5-year um, TV show plans? Um, how do you guys feel about that? Do
I
you
like
care
it.
about
I like.
Andor?
No,
It's
I'm
fun.
so hyped for Andor because I'm a
Really?
huge fan of Rogue One.
Hmm.
I really liked everything about Rogue One, and I want to see more of these characters in it. But I'm someone who likes structure, so knowing like how they're structuring it, as long as they're telling the story,
Yeah.
then it's fine. If they're telling us they have a solid structure of how they're going to get us leading up to Rogue One, but then it feels rushed. That's just a failure on their end. So as long as they can really tell the story and you know whatever, if one episode's 40 minutes, another one's an hour and 30 minutes, I don't care, just make sure they're telling the story.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope it's
Lisa?
not rushed. I want it to be focused,
Yes,
all killer,
exactly.
no filler.
All killer, no filler. At the thing, I mean, I'm obviously down for whatever Star Wars related. I mean, when they
Hmm.
announced this a while back at D23, like 2 or 3 years ago, um, I was like, okay, that's fine. I'm not sure everyone was just like asking for this prequel show leading up to Rogue One because I think everyone universally loves Rogue One. Like, I could be wrong, but I feel like more so than not, out of the Disney regime, movie wise, it's
Hmm.
probably regarded as the best one, or at least one that like hits some really high notes. One of them being the Darth Vader sequence in the hallway, and I still watch the show, especially when they announced that the American showrunner was going to be doing it. He left, and it kind of muted my anticipation a little bit, but it's interesting if they do this 3 episode structure with every with the one with 3 episodes being a year in season 2, because that's fine, especially if they treat like maybe these 3 episodes as like act 1, 2, and 3 of like a movie, and they're
Hmm.
like each one's an hour long. Now, if they're like 30 minutes and then like next one's 45 or whatever, I might be kind of like, this is kind of weird.
Hmm.
But it also sounds like this Star Wars show will be more than the 6 episode kind of Disney Plus like baked in formula we've had. Because if
Hmm.
season 2 is like 3 or 4 years, but each one's 3 episodes, that sounds like 9 plus episodes, or 9 episodes, which I think is cool that they're willing to go beyond the 6 episode limit. Um, anyway, I'm excited for it just because I like Star Wars. And what's really weird is that this thing has been shooting forever. And I know it's in post production now. I'm not quite sure if they're started shooting season 2 or not, but this thing has been cooking in the oven, so to speak, for a very long time. Let's get into Thor and Love and Thunder reviews are in. I didn't post any actual specific reviews. I'm trying to stay away from spoilers. We are just a couple of days away from the movie. Some people have already had early access screenings, of course, big reviewers, and the premiere was also last week in London, I believe. Or no, it was in Australia. It was in Australia. The premiere was last week. So the general consensus, though, is that the movie is fun, full of heart and humor. It's got a simple plot, but it's the first true romantic comedy in the MCU. That everyone's kind of saying it's not as good as Ragnarok, but still a hell of a good time. When do you guys have your tickets already for Thor: Love and Thunder?
I was actually going to talk to you about that after the show.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Oh,
I don't have my
um,
tickets yet, but I have been requested by my husband to go this Sunday.
this
To not
Sunday.
be there during the biggest rush on Friday and Saturday,
See, that's
but
what I
still
like.
opening weekend, so I'm not getting spoiled.
Yeah, I understand. See, I mean, I get that. You got to kind of go out there the first couple of days. That way, you can get back on the internet and actually live your life for a little bit.
Yeah,
Um,
gosh.
I know it's ruthless out there. The
It's
big thing
so
it
bad
is
right
it's
now,
so bad these
so
days,
bad.
and like especially with even these um, entertainment websites like Screen Rant, and IGN's been really guilty of this too, but Screen Rant
Hmm.
especially, they're now just do like headlines with like thumbnails of
Hmm.
spoilers, and it's just like, oh my God, we're 24 hours in, and nothing is safe anymore. So you have to be on top of it to kind of keep that
Yeah,
suspense and that mystery on these projects.
yeah.
But I'm going Thursday night as of right now. I bought our tickets the morning they went live a month ago, and I'm pretty excited. And of course, I have the best seats in the house, so I'm very excited for that adventure. I'll probably go see it 2 to 3 to 5 more times. I here's one another thing that just surprised me about it not being as critically acclaimed as Ragnarok is because we come off of Thor: The Dark World, which to me is probably the worst MCU movie that there is. And when I first saw The Dark World, I thought this is better than Thor 1. I thought that. But then after years of digging deep and looking into my soul, I realized I think Thor: The Dark World is the worst MCU movie, and on a lot of different levels. And Ragnarok was that fresh or that breath of fresh air that Thor needed, and bringing Taika in and having that, as I say, the three pinnacles, the heart, humor, and the spectacle, bringing those in and making this bombastic, colorful, wild, funny, zany Thor was a big thing. And I think that we're getting more of that. And it's not as new and fresh and different. So it's probably like a really good meal. It just feels like a meal you've already had before. So I think that might be part of it. I'm really curious about Gore the God Butcher. He's my
Mhm.
favorite Thor villain ever in the comics. And I know it's gonna be different in the comics already just based on what we've seen, but I'm still excited for it. And I can't wait till next Monday or so that we come in and we um, talk about some of our general reactions. I know um, me and Daniel will be having a review up sometime next week for Thor: Love and Thunder as well. So Lena Headey is being sued for $1.5 million by her former UK agency Troika over unpaid commission fees relating to her Love and Thunder part and a number of other projects. Um, and Hetty has been confirmed not to appear in the film. So it's interesting, first of all, who is
Mm.
she playing? She's a pretty high profile actress, especially with her Game of Thrones stuff. She's Cersei after all. So you kind of wondered that she may have had somewhat substantial, or at least some role that could be reoccurring, but they cut it. And that's more interesting to me than per se she's been being sued, but it is kind of weird that her agency is suing her for a part being cut. That's kind of out of her control. I don't think any actor or actress ever wants their part reduced or cut in a movie, typically. And you kind of wonder how they're even going to get this. It's not, whatever. But it's exciting to think that Lena Headey would be in the MCU. I don't really have a whole lot to say about this. Do you guys have any thoughts on this? Any other Game of Thrones actors you wish could be in the MCU that we haven't seen already?
I never heard that she was going to be in the MCU, so this is kind of new news to me.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Seeing that
it
it's
is new.
rumored she would have been playing Amora, the Enchantress, which is interesting.
It is interesting. I didn't know that.
Well,
Yeah.
that's
Um,
also weird because that's kind of the role that Sylvie has in the Loki show. Is it's clearly very
yeah.
inspired by Amora. So in my head,
Hmm.
I was thinking, oh, she must be like Hera or something, having like one of the Greek gods since
Mhm.
Zeus is in this.
That makes sense,
Um,
actually.
but as far as Game of Thrones actors that I would like to see in the MCU, I really love Amelia Clarke. So if they could shove her in somewhere, that would be great.
Well, she's actually
Mhm.
confirmed to be in Secret Invasion, shooting with Samuel
Mm.
Jackson right now. So we know. So she's in Secret Invasion. We have Kit Harington,
Well,
and we have I can't think. It's Rob Stark in Eternals, of course. Lena
yeah.
Headey was
Yes.
supposed to be in Thor: Love and Thunder. And of course, we have the great Peter Dinklage in Infinity War. Um, and fun fact, Christian Bale let slip last week that Peter Dinklage was also in Thor: Love and Thunder, and they end up cutting his role as well on the cutting room floor, so he's not in the movie.
What?
So
No.
I wonder if Christian Bale killed Peter Dinklage and they decided to keep Peter Dinklage around for more
Uh,
projects because Christian Bale typically, if he's going to meet anybody in these movies, he's probably going to kill them because he's the God Slayer.
yeah.
And or he was going to Peter Dinklage's character to get a very powerful weapon, aka possibly the Necro Sword.
Mm.
So anyway, that's also interesting. So we've almost hit all the major Game of Thrones characters, and Sansa, can't think of her name. She was also in X Men: Dark
The
Phoenix,
X Men,
but
yeah.
of course that doesn't mean she can't be in the MCU down the
Yeah.
line.
I'm wondering if Maisie Williams has been approached. I mean, that's kind of like a top
Mhm.
actor,
She's
so I
great
would.
too.
I'm sure she has. I'm sure they all have had conversations in some form.
Mhm.
Um, I bet honestly it's just a matter of time before any high profile actor or actress is
Mhm.
inside the MCU at some point.
Yeah.
Jessica Jones on Disney Plus has been rebranded on the title sequences and on the main menu as AKA Jessica Jones, which was the original title when the show was in production back in the Netflix days before it finally released on Netflix. Does this mean that they're looking at the property, that they're maybe planning a sequel series? What do you guys think? Did you guys watch Jessica Jones? I saw season one. I loved it. And for some reason, I never watched season two, but I really want to go back and finish it all. So, what are you guys' thoughts?
I'm in the same boat. I actually did not finish season one. I think I
Mm.
had like 2 episodes left. I just so much other content came out that
There's
just
so much. It's
it's so
crazy.
much. Yeah. So what I did watch of Jessica Jones, I thoroughly enjoyed. I do want to go back and rewatch it.
Hmm.
Um, we kind of talked about this on Agents of Mace. I started back on Daredevil, so like I'm in season 2 of Daredevil right now, so I'm kind of working my way through. But I'm all for it. If they want to do more, bring it.
Lisa?
I haven't. I think I watched either the first episode or maybe the first couple of episodes of Jessica Jones and just didn't stick with it because there's just so much stuff out there.
Yeah.
I would be interested to go and watch it, especially because it's got David Tennant in it. And I
Yes.
like David Tennant is one of the greatest actors on the face of the earth. um, and so if they want to make more, that would probably be great, especially if they're getting a good response to it since it's moved over to Disney Plus. And I promise I'm going to make time to watch to watch those shows.
I mean, I get it. I mean, David Tennant is also in season two of Jessica Jones. Fun facts, and I loved it because it was our first introduction to Luke Cage, and I really like the character of Luke Cage, and I love the character of Iron Fist. I never started Luke Cage season two, even though I hear it's better. And I enjoyed season one. We have Mahershala Ali in season one of Luke Cage. It's kind of weird, the MCU timeline, which now we
Yeah.
kind of feel like from what it seems like they're branding it is like that's the Defender saga, like it's its own timeline outside the
Hmm.
MCU, and we're going to kind of cherry pick what we like for the MCU itself. Um, but I never watched Iron Fist season two because Iron Fist season one is pretty atrocious. It's pretty bad, and the Defenders team up show is also not that great. That's the only thing I really like season two of Daredevil, Luke. But like
Hmm.
when they bring in the Hand, which is great, we now knowing where all that goes and how it pays off, it just doesn't really work, and it's unfortunate. But Josh Barenthal as the Punisher is fantastic, and he is in the first kind of segment of season two of Daredevil. So if you guys haven't watched these shows,
Um,
there's some good stuff to find, especially Daredevil's good 3 seasons.
yeah. Over the weekend, I'm pretty sure it was Boss Logic put out a image of a new Punisher image, but it was supposed to be for Secret Wars, where he's in
Mm.
like the iron armor.
Oh yeah,
So cool.
when he
So
wears the
cool.
War Machine armor, it's pretty
Yeah.
sick looking, and it's also
Yeah.
like worst case scenario for every villain ever. It's just like
Yeah.
the Punisher wearing War Machine armor is bad
Yep.
news for anybody. Um, so rumors say that the Thing, yes, Ben Grimm's the Thing from the Fantastic Four, will appear in She-Hulk, and that she will be defending him on trial. I don't think this is true because I feel like that's such a high-profile character, and I doubt they'll reveal him in the She-Hulk TV show. I could be wrong. What do you guys think about that? You think it's
Well,
possible?
well, first question: are we
Yeah,
talking about like a brand new actor portraying the Thing, or are we talking about the actor from the OG movies?
we're talking about a brand new actor, and apparently, and I'm actually really digging this idea. It's Jason Segel from How I Met Your Mother.
Oh,
Really?
Yes, and I actually like kind of love that idea. It's so
Hmm.
different, but I love it. I think it might be a
hmm
great idea. So, I mean, and there's that much information about it, so it could be true, but I just also am very skeptical. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems too, again, here's what I think. Doctor Strange in Multiverse of Madness, whenever Doctor Strange talks to Mr. Fantastic, he says, "Didn't you guys peak in the '60s?" And as
Hmm.
me and Daniel talked, I think even last week on the pod when we discussed Miss Marvel, um, to me it sounds like the Fantastic Four were operating in the '60s in the actual
Hmm.
MCU timeline, which in the comics they also debuted in the '60s. They were Marvel's first family, right?
Hmm.
1960, I believe. Fantastic Four number one, and I think these guys are multiversal traveling family, or at least timeline traveling. So I think they may have got their powers at some point in the '60s. they were maybe famous for whatever, and they end up time jumping by accident to modern day MCU. So they miss the birth of Iron Man. They miss Thanos coming and destroying, New York or whatever, and or yeah, upstate New York. So I think that they're going to come in the tail end, and they're basically like a fish out of water, right? They're the Marvel's
Yeah.
first family. They have their
Right.
powers. There's also rumors saying that potentially Thanos' his snap, the blip, could also be the reason why they get their powers. I think my idea is better, and I think it kind of
Yeah.
lines up more with what's kind
I
of going
think,
on.
yeah. I mean, yours kind of goes in line with like the quantum mania theories,
Yes, I
and
agree.
that's kind of where I'm expecting to see them. But going back to this rumor, who knows? Like, these days, you just really don't know what could be true and what's completely just out there. Like, this is one of those moments I could easily see as like a post-credit scene near the
Yeah.
end, just to kind of start introducing more of the Fantastic Four. But who knows?
How do you guys,
Yeah,
Lisa? How do
who
you feel
knows?
about Jason Segel being cast as potentially the Thing?
I think that sounds great. That's not a casting I would have expected in a million years.
Yeah,
But he's one of those actors where I'm like, yeah, put him in all the things. He's always
Hmm.
good, and
no, he's great. Like
yeah,
him
I
in the
think that he would
Muppets.
bring like a very likable quality
Hmm.
to a character that so many people love.
Yeah.
So
I agree. Jason Segel can have that warmness, and he's
Hmm.
tall, and he has comedic timing, and I think that he's someone that you just don't see as a superhero, but it's one of
mhm.
those things like I think it could just be such genius casting. Now, of
Hmm.
course, no one did it better than my boy. What was his name? The Thing from
Chickless.
yeah, Michael Chiklis. I love him as the Thing. They could just bring him back and just
Sure.
make
Yeah.
him. Yeah, I would be in
100%.
heaven. I loved
Yep.
him as that in that movie. Um, and those are also on Disney Plus, everybody. So if you haven't seen them, go check them out and get ready for the Fantastic Four. I guess one last question regarding this. I don't think it's going to happen, but based on some of the commentary we've gotten on Doctor Strange on Disney Plus, do you guys think John Krasinski will remain our Mr. Fantastic?
No.
I hope so.
I hope so, but I'm going with no.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think that he was a one and done kind of situation, and we won't get him. I think he'd be amazing also, but
Yeah.
anyway, it's very sad, very sad. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever promo art confirms Namor the Submariner. We had some stuff drop a couple weeks ago, but now we have some hardcore promo art dropping. I didn't tag it in here just for fear of potential
Hmm.
spoilers. I didn't want people to, if they want to go completely blind, to go in there and look at it. But it looks it looks like more cultural than the comics. There's a few versions, one where he's basically looks like Namor, where he's just wearing like a speedo. There's another version where he's got more of a headpiece on and some cool jewelry and stuff like that. So I mean, he's going to be in the movie, and I suspect when SDCC happens in San Diego, Marvel's there, right? We know DC's there. I bet Marvel's big thing they're going to show will be Black Panther. That's the next thing coming around the corner that they're releasing movie wise, and everyone is kind of asking, "Hey, what is this movie? What's it going to look like?" And I've been saying for a long time, I think that the first movie it brought us into the world of Wakanda, and how do you replicate that, but also expand the universe? And you bring us into the world of the Atlanteans, the world of Namor, and you have two kings go at it, right? You have two different cultures clash. And so that's what we're getting, it looks like, in some form. What's your guys' thoughts on Namor the Submariner being in Black Panther Wakanda Forever?
Oh, I'm super excited. I remember when these kind of initial images leaked, and I did check them out just to see, and mostly it was just comparison to like the comic, just in terms of comic accuracy, like
Hmm.
you were saying.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, no, just that whole build. It's just this movie feels like it's going to be more world building, and I'm
yeah,
all for that. I want to see some new worlds, and the concept of this is just really cool, and yeah, I'm excited for this one.
it's awesome.
And I'm not familiar with the character,
Hmm.
but I'm just excited for more from the Black Panther universe, more Wakanda, and returning to returning to that world that we had in the first movie.
Yeah, I think big thing for me is I just want to know who's going to be Black Panther. I think that's my biggest concern or the biggest interest. I think it's everybody's biggest interest. And I don't want it to be um, Shuri. I just don't want it to happen. And I know we're going to get Riri Williams in there also, who ends up becoming Ironheart. And I bet she'll be introduced through the Wakanda like outreach program that was established, I think, in New York. I believe I could
Mhm.
be wrong. Where it may have been Chicago. I don't 100% remember. But we know that Ironheart is either filming right now or it's in the process of filming in Atlanta at the moment. And I'm curious to see how all these plates start spinning out of the movie and just really who's going to take over the mantle. Um, I'm still in the team of Michael B. Jordan was always alive. He never died at the end of Black Panther 1,
Yeah.
and it's him learning his mistakes and becoming the
Hmm.
king. But I just don't know. I'm very curious to see what happens.
That's what I want. That would be so cool.
That's what I want to. There's even rumor that it could be T'Challa's long lost son being taken over the mantle of Black Panther. But how did T'Challa not know about his kid for so long? And also, T'Challa's not someone to abandon their kid. It'd have to be like a surprise birth or something. Like he did
Mhm.
not know about it. The mom kept him from it or whatever. But also, T'Challa is not. I don't suspect he was that old in the movies. I mean, they probably portrayed him well. I mean, as his early 30s at least. Maybe mid 30s. So he would have to have this kid relatively young to be somewhat of an adult. And maybe he won't be an adult. Maybe he'll be 16, 17, coming right into like adulthood or something. Who knows? But I am curious about it. I'm very curious. I think like everybody else because we know next to nothing about this movie.
Yeah.
It's a big question mark. Big topic of the week. Russo brothers open to directing the X-Men. They say one of my prized possessions is Incredible Hulk number 181, which I want that comic so bad, which is the first appearance of Wolverine. It's an important part of my comic book collection, Wolverine being so essential to the X-Men. Of course, that would be a fun project to work on and find a new way into it. But I do think that that's probably something that Kevin Feige has rightfully put aside for a while to introduce some new characters to the world and bring them back when it's ready. So, that plus, let's go ahead and say the next topic. Taylor Egerton has come out and fully said that he's had talks about Wolverine casting with Kevin Feige and the MCU team. He says, I don't think it would be wrong to say that. The Welsh actor responded when asked if he had had any official discussions regarding the character. It'd be exciting, but I'd be apprehensive as well because Hugh is so associated with the role that I'd wonder if it'd be very difficult for someone else to do it. Hopefully, it does come around. They'll give me a shot. So, clearly Marvel is talking about, and we knew they were talking about potentially X-Men,
Hmm.
who they're going to cast, how they're going to bring in these characters. And the Russo brothers said they're open to it, and we know that they're also very open to directing the Secret Wars movie, which again I hope
Hmm.
is a three-part into the MCU. That's what I hope it is. I hope it's three parts, like Infinity War and Endgame was basically part one and part two.
Yeah.
I hope this is Secret Wars Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, and it ends the whole damn thing. And then Kevin Feige walks away in the sunset. And then the next somebody has to reboot the whole thing, and we start over again with Captain America or Iron Man, and we march forward. Doubt that will happen. But what are you guys' thoughts on the Russo brothers directing X Men, and what's your thoughts on Taylor Edgerton as Wolverine?
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
So much. I mean, the whole thing with Taylor is like that's been circulating the internet for a while now.
Yeah,
So I'm curious to when these talks initially started to happen. Um, I feel like this is the biggest piece of it though, is like how many test runs are they doing with different actors to really lock in the character of Wolverine? Because
yeah.
he's right. Like Hugh, when you hear Wolverine, like you're going to think of Hugh, and that's a big shoe to fill.
It is.
In
Alyssa?
terms of, yeah.
I'm on board with the idea of the Russo brothers directing. I think that they've done such great work so far that, yeah, bring them back. Let them do it. As far as little Mr. Edgerton goes, I he's a very talented young man. But I also, it's really hard for me to even conceive of a new actor playing Wolverine, and I shouldn't be that way. I shouldn't. I need to be open to new experiences. But yeah, he could do a credible Wolverine probably, but we'll have to see. We have to see.
Maybe I think an issue I'm having, I guess, with this actor portraying Wolverine, and a lot of this is just coming from like I recently started rewatching some of the animated series and paying attention to some of these characters. Kind of has a baby face. Like I don't know. I'm just thinking like you need to be going up a little bit older in age, or someone that's going to look older.
I
That's
think
really going to kind of pull off the full like Wolverine kind of feel experience. I don't know.
well, here's the thing. I think a couple things. One, look at Rocket Man. To me, he didn't have a baby face in Rocket Man. They kind of made him look pretty rough in certain scenes, especially with the drug use and everything else. And part of that
Yeah,
too is that if he got this role, he's going to get shredded for it. Like he's going to get ripped, and that will lean out his face quite a bit. Physically, it will lean him out a little bit. But I think when this happens, it could be 2 to 3 more years down the road, maybe four,
mhm,
and he'll be that much older. He's a fantastic actor. I think he should have been. I'm not sure he was nominated for Rocket Man, but he should have been nominated. If he wasn't nominated for it, I thought he would definitely a Academy Award deserving performance the way what he did, and he sung all the songs, so he did a
yeah,
fantastic job. Him and Hugh have worked on a movie together. It's the skiing movie. I can't think of the name of it, but
mm,
I bet money he would definitely give his blessing to Taylor. And Taylor's a great actor. The big thing for me is that yes, Hugh is locked in as Wolverine. I mean, I was an emotional wreck for a good 3 to 4 days when Logan come out, and part of that's because it dawned on me it was like losing a family member. This is somebody that's been in my life since I was a
yeah,
kid and I've grown up with. But there is room in the MCU to have a new version of this character, particularly a version that gets to wear the costume and that fits in the MCU. And I think it would be great to have this Wolverine be the kind of the opposite of what Hugh Jackman was, which Hugh Jackman was always the star, right? He was the guy that would come in, and the X Men were kind of almost always second fiddle to Wolverine. And I think that Wolverine is almost like kind of like the Hulk, where he's there, but he's not overpowering. Like he's not overpowering the rest of the cast, and he's someone that definitely kind of accentuates moments and scenes, and he's quiet, and he's the Canadian Canuck. So I think just like if they do an X-Men movie, I don't think the Wolverine should be probably in it. Maybe as a post-credit sequence tease or something. Or he could peer somebody else. He should be like in the Canadian Special Forces, just like he was in the comics. And we
mm,
gotta have the Hulk fight the Wolverine, and we've gotta have that moment that was cut from Endgame. If you guys remember, there was leaked concept art of Ant Man, of Giant Man throwing the Hulk, and then the Hulk throwing Spider Man. It was a double fastball special. And how do you top that? You replace Spider Man with Wolverine.
Wolverine. Yeah,
That's how you have one of the cool. I'm getting chills talking about it. One of the coolest things ever in comic book history will be Giant Man throwing the Hulk, and you reveal that the Hulk is carrying Iron Man or carrying Wolverine, and he throws Wolverine through somebody. It's going to be fucking nuts. It's going to be nucky fucks, as they would say. If that happens, I
uh,
will lose my goddamn mind in the theater. Anyway, you can just kill me then. I'll be happy. So that's why we need it. That's why we need Wolverine in the MCU, so I can get that moment.
yep.
Anyway, I'm excited about it. Clearly, I think Taylor could do it. I want to see the costume, and I want to see it right. Yeah. Let's move on to DC. Variety reports that Warner Brothers is committed to release The Flash in theaters. It's unclear whether Miller will continue to perform as the Scarlet Speedster in future projects, which is wild. But Warner Brothers is still committed to releasing its $200 million budget tentpole, The Flash, in theaters on June 2023. The movie has tested extremely well in private screenings, and as for the actor, Variety sources say that Miller hopes to talk about the accusations against themselves in the future, but they're taking time for themselves to focus on their health and healing over the coming months.
Mm,
Yeah, I think I messaged you and Joe privately also. Apparently, Ezra Miller was in Japan, and the guy who plays Elvis was at a bar and punched
yeah.
Ezra Miller because Ezra was, I guess, antagonizing the group at the bar. At least that's my impression of it. I don't know if that's true or
Yeah.
not.
No, I believe I saw the article, but within the article, Butler was quick to come and say, no, that was false. Like I was not there.
Oh, okay, so it's not true.
Yeah, I don't think that
What
was
an
true.
amazing story, though, if that was true. Holy crap.
I mean, that would be. I mean, it's just hard to get around this health and healing when it feels like he's running and hiding.
It does. And what a good way to phrase that. No, it's so weird. I mean, this doesn't surprise me, first of all, with Warner Brothers saying we're going to release the movie. It's $200 million. Even if the movie, I mean, the movie's going to make that its budget back. It needs to make probably 200, probably about 4.5 to $500 million to probably break even. That might be conservative. It might need to make like somewhere close to 6.5 to break even. I
Yeah.
think that's possible with Michael Keaton's Batman back. I don't think most of the public knows about Ezra's shenanigans. I do think when the marketing starts kicking up, people will be resharing articles. There will be more
Mhm.
things to talk about that Ezra's done. Especially, who knows what he will have accomplished in his private life between now and the movie's release. So who knows what we'll be talking about between now and then. I'm kind of getting tired of bringing it up, but it looks like we'll get the Flash in theaters and not on HBO Max. Elisa, what do you think about
Yeah.
this?
I can't believe they spent $200 million on a Flash movie.
I can. That's par for course, and it's Michael
Yeah.
Keaton Batman. You got super visual effects heavy. I see that happening. I mean, should they have done it? Probably not. They probably should have done $150 million as the first solo movie. But I see it easily happening that way. But yeah,
Yeah, I'm afraid that with everything going on, they might not make that 200 million back.
you don't think so?
Mm-mm.
I mean, typically,
No.
the rule of thumb is 200. It says 200 million. He's made 2.5 back, right?
Hmm.
So it needs to make at least 550 million dollars to break even. And then you have marketing costs, which run up between like a 70 to like 140 million, depending on the movie. This will be on the higher end, of course, but also like what do they market? They're going to have to market Michael Keaton's Batman, which kind of sucks because that was kind of the thing that you would market. That would be like, here's the tease after every teaser. You're not going to show Michael Keaton every time. Like you have to go to the theater to see him. But now I feel like they may change course here a little bit and use Michael Keaton as kind of the
Yeah.
main draw to kind of sidestep Ezra. So we might get some more spoilery heavy things
Which
visually
it's
at least.
horrible because yeah, I feel like the only way they can probably do that now is start releasing some of the bigger moments that will just take
Exactly.
away from the overall experience.
And there's no way that Ezra will be on the press junket for this movie. And there's every version possible that will have Supergirl, which I think it's Sasha Callan. I could be wrong of her name. And it's also Michael Keaton will be there to be will be the driving force. He might be even be getting paid now or negotiating more to be on more press junkets and more press tours by the time this movie comes out. So he's gonna make a pretty penny when it's all said and done for this whole thing. And I feel bad for the cast and crew. This is again she's Supergirl. It's her first appearance as a superhero, and it's a big appearance for this character on the worldwide stage. And now it's being overshadowed by all this Ezra Miller bull crap. And
Hmm.
it's a bad situation. I know Warner Brothers didn't ask for this. I know that David Zaslav is absorbing these problems as coming in as the new head of Warner Brothers Discovery. And I'm ready for the movie, and I'm ready for them to recast the Flash. I'm ready for that news, and I'm really ready for, even though it's not really Warner Brothers' actual responsibility, I am ready for them to say, "Hey, we recognize the things that are happening that are going on, and we are looking into at least looking into possibilities, even if it is a PR stunt. I want them to say something. They were
Yeah.
so quick to dismiss Johnny Depp. I'm not saying Johnny Depp is innocent, but maybe that's also why they haven't, because now that Johnny Depp has gotten, public favor back in some ways, people, like now it's kind of like, oh, Warner Brothers, you took him out of Fantastic Beasts whenever you might not have needed to. So maybe they're just kind of scared to take these people out of these franchises until it's like 100% concrete of what these people are doing. I don't know, but I'm ready for the movie. I know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other stuff in the movie sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, Michael Keaton back as the Batman. That is,
Like that's
you could just give me those scenes and package it to like the 20 minutes that it probably is, and then I'd pay full price a lot to go watch it. Yeah. Oh snap! Exactly, your mug. I would go watch that full time. Just like, all right, here's another $15. Let me watch this 30-minute sizzle reel of Michael Keaton scenes real quick. I would
yeah.
easily do that. Not even think about it.
Yep.
I'd be there opening night.
Same.
I just want to know when they're going to do another Superman movie with Henry Cavill. That's all that I want. That's all that I want from those people.
There is another story I didn't put in here. Apparently, Black Adam has been having test screenings, and it's weird because The Rock did put out a Instagram post that had half Superman symbol, half the Black Adam symbol, and he
Hmm.
reiterated that he is a man of the people and that he listens to his fans and that he is working on whatever, heavily
Hmm.
implying that either Superman is going to be in this movie or that he's building up to that sort of thing, right? And it's the rumor is through these test screenings is that Superman is in the movie, but it's another Shazam situation where we don't see the head
Hmm.
of the actor playing it, just like also we saw in Peacemaker, which I'm like, man, they keep doing my boy dirty. They keep
Yeah.
doing him dirty.
Yeah.
Just let him be in the fucking movie. And I mean, again, it could be Henry Cavill that's stopping these things. He could have high negotiations for high level negotiations on where he wants to use the character because he has been getting screwed over with BVS. I mean, that was his second time performing as a character, and that movie didn't have the greatest reception in terms of
Hmm.
how he was portrayed and like what he did in that movie. Not his performance, but just how the character was handled and how, all those things. I think sometimes we forget how hot and heavy that movie's reviews were and the
Hmm.
cultural fan base and just how split it was because then we got Justice League and it all became about that movie and then we got Zack Snyder's movie and so it's always been about like we're constantly being caught up in the next movie and we're forgetting that this character has had controversy from the beginning, even Man of Steel
Yeah.
#1, which I love that movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I do
So
too.
I just, I think he might be very protective of like what he will do going forward. Um, and who knows? Because supposedly, again, San Diego Comic Con is coming up relatively soon, the next 3 to 4 months, and DC is supposed to unveil its new plan on what their direction for the universe is. And, you know, I feel like it's going to be something. I just hope they're like, hey, we're going to. I thought the last plan was that Flashpoint was going to reboot the universe, and there will be like, hey, we can have the Joker story, we can have the Batman story, we can have the DCEU going on at the same time. I still hope that's the plan. They can kind of have multiple things happening, and
Hmm.
us fans can kind of follow the main storyline if we want it. But now I feel like there might be something else happening because the Flash, Ezra Miller's kind of changing things, and also, I don't know. It kind of scares me, honestly. I'm kind of scared of what the news will be coming out of SDCZ.
Yeah.
Response to Batgirl test screenings have been positive with leaks of plot surfacing the web. So if you're wary of plot leaks, don't look at Batgirl stuff. I think I did skim over them. It's nothing that you and I couldn't confer or couldn't
Yeah.
conceive in 30 seconds of talking. It sounds like just light spoilers. This ain't really spoilery. That Michael Keaton's Batman in it is in it more than maybe we might have thought, which I think is exciting.
That's cool.
And I mean that's really it. There's not a whole lot there. So I'm excited for that. I bet money that this will go to theaters and not HBO Max.
Hmm.
I suspect that they'll want to. It's a smaller budget movie. I think it's smaller. I think it's between 80 and 150. I think it might be closer to the lower end.
Hmm.
And I suspect that they'll want to maybe offset some of the Flash's costs if that thing doesn't perform correctly, which it probably, who knows, with
Yeah.
Batgirl. And that's two Michael Keaton movies we'll get maybe in the same year. So I'm excited for that. What's your thoughts on Batgirl, Lisa?
I don't know anything about it. I literally, this is the first I'm hearing that they're making a Batgirl movie,
Really? Right now?
which is, yeah, yeah, right now. Thank you for letting me know.
Yeah, they were shooting up until this earlier this year. Brendan Fraser is playing Firefly. He's the bad guy, and
Uh-huh.
Michael Keaton's Batman is back in it. And so the original plan was that the Flash was going to come out in October-ish of this year, and then that was going to spin out into Michael Keaton is the Batman of the DCEU now,
Mm-hmm.
replacing Ben Affleck's Batman, and he was going to be a mentor to Batgirl. Fun facts: J.K. Simmons is also coming back as Commissioner Gordon, and we only got
Yep.
him in a few key scenes in Whedon's Justice League and Zack Snyder's Justice League. So they were kind of like still keeping these Snyder elements kind of rolling into the new DCU canon. But now that Flash has been delayed, Batgirl has also been delayed, and there's been this debate on is it going to go to HBO Max like it originally was intended, or is it going to
Mm-hmm.
come to theaters? And the directors of Bad Boys for Life are the ones who are directing Batgirl. They've already released shots of her costume. There's concept art up there. There's even shots. I believe we covered on 241 Joe live in the very beginning of the show earlier
Hmm.
this year. There's shots of Michael Keaton on, or at least his suit, his stunt double on set.
Hmm.
So it's a movie. It's been made. We're just waiting for
Yeah.
the release now.
Yep.
Who
There's
plays
your.
Batgirl?
I can't think of her name. Let's look real quick. Here she is, right here. That's her. That's her suit. Her proto suit, and it
Leslie
is
Grace.
Leslie Grace. Yes.
Yep.
I
And
have never heard of her.
here's her on
Stage.
set. Yeah, Leslie Grace. That's
Hmm.
her first shot on like the first full announcement ever. And again, I think from what we understand is that she will have a more comic accurate, like kind of blockbustery costume by the end of it. So
Was was her first
right
role
here.
in the
Let's
Heights, or is that like was that like her breakthrough
I
role?
believe she was, yes, in the Heights is a big thing. So here's some
Yeah.
sweet concept art of like her in like a more comic accurate kind of badass looking suit.
Hmm.
um,
Cool.
which I'm hoping we get something more armored up looking, kind of like we got in the Arkham games. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, so that's coming out relatively soon. I don't think we have a actual release date at the moment. I know it was supposed to be this fall, and it would be kind of weird. I mean, it's still supposed to be 2022. I just don't see it happening because again, The Flash takes place before this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, the budget is 70 million. That thing could easily make $250 million at the box office, easily, with Michael
Hmm.
Keaton in it and Brendan Fraser. I mean, it's easy lock in. So I think they're going to release it in theaters and make some of that money back and or kind of boost up some of their quarterly revenue. But we'll see. I don't know. I do not know. Yeah, 2022. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Do not know. Let's move on. So we have um, let's move on. So Avatar 2 and 3 have been shot back to back. Of course, we knew that. I think I might have been reporting this wrong, at least to my friends over the last couple of years. I thought they'd already shot 4 and 5. Apparently, they have not.
Mm.
All the scripts have been written, but they're kind of waiting to be greenlit, especially with the response of 2 and 3. One thing he said, and part of this too is because he made this deal to do these things like 6, 7 years ago with
Yeah.
the old Fox regime, and now we've had Disney acquire Fox and all these other kind of things. And even though I think it's a good chance we'll get Avatar 4 and 5, I doubt these movies are going to bomb completely. I don't know if they're going to make the same amount of money as Avatar 1 did, but we'll see. I know Avatar 1 is re releasing in theaters in September, and Avatar 2 is coming out in December in that coveted Christmas time slot now. He says on maybe not returning for Avatar 4 and 5, he says the Avatar films themselves are kind of all consuming. I've got some other um, things I'm developing as well that are exciting. I think eventually over time, I don't know if that's all after 3 or after 4. I don't know if that's to be a director that I trust to take over so I can go do some other stuff that I'm also interested in, or maybe not. I don't know. Movie 4 is a corker. It's a motherfucker. He teases, I actually hope I get to make it, but it depends on market forces. 3 is in the can, so it's coming out regardless. I really hope that we get to make 4 and 5 because it's one big story, ultimately.
Hmm.
Again, I need to see Avatar 2 before I start caring about 3, and I need to see
Yeah.
Avatar 3 before I start caring about 4 and 5.
Right.
So I don't know really know yet how I feel about this report. I mean, Avatar
Yeah.
1, I thought visually it was like, this is pretty impressive. The 3D
Yeah.
was amazing at the time, 2011, I believe, in November is when that thing came
Hmm.
out. And, or no, 2009. Sorry, 2009.
That's forever ago.
Yeah,
Hmm.
over a decade ago. And
No.
I know that it made what, $2.7 billion. Endgame come in and took over the reins and guaranteed that um, Avatar will be number one again if it's not already again. Will be number
Mm.
one in September. It needs to make like $10 million or something, which it will easily do in China as a re-release. It may make an additional 100. It may be the first $3 billion movie, a
Mm.
cumulative box office over runtime. Actually, I totally see that happening.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about this? Do you guys think I mean, do you want James to stay on for 4 and 5 if 2 and 3 are good, or do you even care about this? Or should we even be talking about this on the channel?
I mean, at this point, I honestly don't really care. Like,
Yeah,
it's the delay was so insane. Like, two it's going to have to be spectacular. The
yeah,
story is
Hmm.
going to have to be incredible
it
to
has to
draw
be.
me in to really care about 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah. Are you a fan
Yeah.
of Avatar, Lisa?
Like no. I went and saw it at the theater like
Maybe.
everybody else did back in
Yeah,
2009. And I think what people forget about it is that it never really made a whole lot of money at once. I think that its maximum box office over a weekend was like $80 million. It just
yeah,
didn't drop off. And part of the reason was because I remember it released in the middle of this like gigantic snowstorm. And so a lot of people who couldn't go see it that first weekend went and saw it the next weekend and just kept going and kept going and kept going. And the thing has had like no cultural footprint. Like
Yeah.
nobody is still obsessed with this movie. Nobody remembers the characters. It's the same story as Pocahontas, and I if they're good, great. James
right.
Cameron is a very talented filmmaker, solid dude. I hope they're good. They
Yeah,
look great. They always do. Like the first one, like of course, broke all kinds of new ground with what CGI could do.
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Maybe these will too. Great. But like y'all said, they're gonna have to go beyond just ripping off Pocahontas and wanting us to go see 4 more movies in
It's a
this
lot of movie.
universe.
Yeah.
A couple of things to unpack here. One thing he said was that Um, he said, "Hey, first of all, don't be complaining to me about the length of the movie." He said it's gonna be like between 2.5 to 3 hours long. He said because in this day and age, everyone binge watches 5 episodes at a time. He said so you should be able to sit there in the theater and watch the whole thing. He said it's okay to take a pee break. That's another quote from him talking about the length of the movie, which I'm like, that's fine. I'm actually here for more content. Give me a 3 hour movie. I don't care. That's fine with me. Um, More bang for my buck sort of thing. I will say
Yeah.
this. We can't never count out James Cameron because that man always comes in clutch. Titanic,
Hmm.
he highest gross movie of all time. Avatar, he topped himself again, highest gross movie of all time. And we got to give him this: that man can make some of the best sequels of all time. Terminator
Yeah.
2, one of the best sequels of all time. Aliens, one of the best sequels of all time. So his track record for sequels is almost par to none.
Yeah.
So I think that maybe Avatar 2 could be something special. I think for me, I'm just not like in love with the character design. Like they're just not cool to me.
Hmm.
And like not like the aliens or like the Terminators. It's not a world that I'm dying to always live in. Even though I know a lot of people are. But
Hmm.
I'm still curious about it. Sigourney Weaver has been confirmed though to be playing Jake and Natiri's teenage daughter. And Sigourney Weaver's in her 60s, and she's going to be playing the teenage version of their kid. So we always knew she was going to come back to play a role. We just didn't know if she was coming back to play her previous character, who did die in Avatar 1. Spoilers, it's been over a decade. Go watch the movie. And I
15
think
years.
that yeah, it's been a while, all right? So I think
Yeah.
that it's interesting she's going to play this young version of a character, and she's doing the mocap and everything else. So, yeah, I mean, nothing super exciting there. I just thought I'd tell everyone that also. Nothing to really
Again, I
unpack.
haven't watched Avatar in so long. I can't
No.
remember who lives, who dies, what happened. I
Who
just
lives, who
remember the
dies,
core
who
stories.
tells your
Yeah.
story? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I actually want to go back and watch it in theaters. I've been
Mm,
kind of waiting for this moment for 5 or
yeah.
6 years. I'm like, I know they're going to re-release it someday. I saw it one. I just started working at the movie theater in Batesville in 2009 when it dropped. I watched it one time in theaters. I was blown away by the 3D, and then I watched it half a time. I didn't get to finish it my second viewing. I had to go to work,
Mm,
and I haven't seen it since. So I've been kind of waiting for a long time to get that 3D
wow.
experience again. So I'm very curious to see how it holds up. I'm sure the 3D and the visual effects are still fine, um, but I bet money Avatar 2 will be kind of breathtaking in a lot of ways, visually, but narratively, will it hold up? That is the question I think we're all wondering about.
Also,
This is
there's next to no dialogue in the trailer, which is concerning.
yeah. I mean, I think they were really trying to lean on the visual effects, and like the thing
Yeah.
is, from what I understand, visual effects artists who are really into it, they're like, look, this is actually next level stuff that we're seeing, but it's not, it doesn't feel like the jump that maybe we might be expecting after a decade. It's like all
Hmm.
these subtle little things that are happening that are like they've created their own patents for, and all these other technological jumps and everything. I think the visual effects people are like, oh my god, this is incredible. But we're kind of getting to that place now where we've been almost photorealistic in a lot of ways, not completely for the last 5 6 years. We've gotten Thanos, and he's not always perfect, but we've gotten a lot of things that are really good looking. And so maybe the 3D and the water sequences will really make that something more spectacular. And it's kind of
Hmm.
hard to get that from a minute, 2 minute trailer. So I'm
Yeah.
curious. Last topic of the day before we get into our Blu-ray releases, and we'll head off here. This is a small thing. The Furiosa is shooting right now. George Miller, man's like 150, and he's still making action movies. Um, Set photos show Chris Hemsworth is in a new look here. This wasn't like a huge story. I just thought it was kind of interesting, mainly because I want your guys' thoughts on
Mm.
the movie itself. But here's Chris Hemsworth. He's got a nose prosthetic on. He's got a red beard. All his hair's kind of dyed, tinted red. Are you guys excited for Furiosa, which is a prequel to Mad Max Fury Road? That movie was incredible, but would you rather have had a Mad Max movie, or are you okay getting Furiosa's prequel story? What's your guys' thoughts?
No, I'm for it.
Uh,
Okay, for it. What's the one
I'm
for
for
it,
it. Yeah.
Elisa?
Also for it, I enjoyed Furiosa and the Mad Max movie. I think was it last week we talked about how I didn't really care for that movie.
Yeah.
Really?
Uh, but yeah, I'll be interested to see where they take her character. And I didn't know that Chris Hemsworth was in it till just now. So I love Chris Hemsworth. So
Yeah,
I guess we're going to see it now.
yeah, yeah. There you go. I mean, we know that Immortan Joe will be back in it, kind of showing, I guess, his rise to power, or
Hmm.
how she gets captive or captured, just like the start of Mad Max Fury Road. I
Hmm.
mean, I'm down for it. I kind of wish we would get Tom Hardy back as Chris or
Yeah.
as Mad Max, because, like, to me, that's the franchise, and I'm also just never a fan of prequels. Like, I'm just always kind of like, it has to be something truly special to kind of get me to care. And the thing is, these characters, they're kind of simple characters. Like, they
Hmm.
have simple objectives. I mean, Fury Road is literally get down there and then get back. That's the goals. And I think, I don't know if I care too much about what these characters are going through so much, is more of the world and
Hmm.
and whatever they're trying to accomplish in the action set pieces. So I'm like, I kind of wish we just had more Mad Max, because also I just want more Tom Hardy. That's just me.
And I'm curious if Tom is even open to continue on with this character. If this is just setting up more of the world for another Mad Max film, I'm for it. For
Yeah,
even more.
I just don't know if I want to go watch Mad. I haven't watched it since probably
Yeah.
theaters, honestly.
Yeah.
I just want to. I'm curious, but like again, George Miller, this man I literally think he's like at 90 something. So let's look how old this man is.
I'm going to say 92.
Oh, he's 77. So he's still got some time, but he
He's
takes
got some time,
forever to make these movies. And to be fair,
right?
the turnaround time on this one is pretty spectacular compared to Mad Max Fury Road. And he also directed Happy Feet 1 and 2, so keep that in mind. Isn't that a
He
wild
did.
contrast there? But I'm curious. Oh,
Ah,
he has
wait.
3,000 Years of Longing coming out actually pretty soon, which is Idris Elba and somebody else. So he's kind of been
So
pumping these out lately.
Francis
there is.
McDormand. No, wait, no, no,
I'm
no.
check.
It's Tilda Swinton. Tilda Swinton.
Yes, Tilda Swinton. What are you saying, Luke?
I'm checking Untitled Mad Max Project. So I
Hmm.
wonder if it wouldn't be this one. It's
Yeah, this one's called
the,
just straight up Furiosa, I
I
believe.
know, but I'm looking at for Tom Hardy, and he is currently filming an Untitled Mad Max Project.
Really? That's interesting. I'm curious. I mean, hey, I want it. I just don't know what's going to happen with it. Um,
Yeah,
Jesus,
so
170
he's
film. Yeah, that's wild. Junkie XL did the score for it. That movie fucking rocks. I want to watch. I want to watch this. I haven't watched this movie in forever. We may do this on the podcast actually. This is a sweet movie. Um, I don't know. I want it. I don't know what's going to happen with it, but we'll see. I really hope he comes back and does something. But
mhm.
I think that's it for the news. Let's go. Lastly, our Blu-ray releases that come out today. If you haven't seen it, Everything Everywhere All at Once is out now on Blu-ray. You can get the Walmart exclusive cover with all the googly eyes that you want. Exclusive to Walmart, of course. Downtown Abbey is also out. A new era on 4K Blu-ray as well. But here's what I bought today, or I have it shipped to me. It's Edge of Tomorrow, the 4K
Nice.
re-release steelbook Blu-ray from Best Buy. It is in my mailbox. I still have not retrieved it yet. And then we have Okja and the Virgin Suicides, and then finally Tremors from 1990 is also out. I have I know it's supposed to be out. I haven't really saw it anywhere, but my sources tell me it's out. So anyway, go get it, Everything Everywhere All at Once if you haven't already. That movie is so much fun,
So good.
and we talked about it on the podcast, and me and Daniel were both kind of in love with it in general. And of course, Edge of Tomorrow. If you haven't seen it, that movie is almost 10 years old. Tom Cruise just celebrated his 60th birthday in the last couple of days, and they'll hold you over if you haven't seen Maverick yet until Mission Impossible. Um, what's that movie called? Dead
Dark
Reckoning.
Dead
Oh,
Reckoning,
Dead.
yeah.
right?
I like yours. Dark
Part
Part
one.
one.
Reckoning.
Dark Reckoning. I
Dark
thought it was dark.
Reckoning. Yeah, I like it. But Dead Reckoning Part One.
Yeah.
So that comes out next year, and then we'll get the finale to the Mission Impossible movies the following years after that. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for being on 2 for 1 Joe Live. Luke, how can our listeners find you and all the cool things that you do?
Just check out youtube.com/Luke Irvin. And then Elise and I co-host the Agents of Mace podcast, where right now we're covering Miss Marvel.
Awesome. Elisa, how can and I know Luke kind of just said it, but how can our listeners
I said
find you
it.
and all the cool things that you do? I think she froze.
Oh
For a second, I
no.
thought she was being so
Yeah.
still. I was like, man, she's still. Well, we'll continue on. Of course, you can find Elisa on Majors of Ace podcast on all podcast services, like Luke just said. And of course, if you want more 2 for 1 Studios, youtube.com/2for1 Studios, the best place to consume the content. Or you can find us at 2for1studios.com, your all central hub for everything 2 for 1. Of course, we have the podcast every week on all podcast services. You can find it first on YouTube. And of course, we have 2 for 1 Joe Live every Monday at 9 a.m. Of course, today is Tuesday, the 5th, because we had a holiday yesterday. So, of course, like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you show us all the love and support. And if you didn't know, and boy, oh boy, I bet you did not, we are sponsored by Kapow Comics, located at 4047 East Kill Avenue in Sherwood, Arkansas. There they have comic books, collectibles, graphic novels, and of course, special guest appearances throughout the year. Luke, thank you so much for being on here.
Of
Elisa
course.
has dropped off, of course. So I also appreciate her being on here. She may hop on one last second before we leave, but I doubt it. Anyway, thank you so much, Luke. I really
Yep.
appreciate it. And we'll catch you guys next week.